our top 10 hottest comics books of the week. We don't do it like the other kind of channels where they go through all of it and dissect each one. We are more of a variety show. We talk about all of the news, all the topics that collectors are interested in, and we kind of just dissect it into 3 issues. Specifically, Chris dissects it into the 3 most interesting issues he sees on the list. Here we go, Chris. We have the top 10 hottest comic books of the week. At number 10, we have Thor number 4, the second print. I do believe that's the first cover appearance of Black Winter. Correct me if I am wrong. At number 9, we have Venom 26, which is the first appearance of Virus. At number 8, we have Venom Lethal Protector number 2. Number 7 is Thor number 5. Number 6 is Bounty Hunters number 1, the second print, and it's the first appearance of Nakano Lash. Number 5 is Ice Cream Man. Number 20, the Dr. Seuss variant that sold out very quickly. Number 4 is Captain Marvel. Number 18, the first appearance of Lauri-Ell. That's Captain Marvel's sister. That was number 1 last week, I do believe, the regular cover. Number 3 is Dark Knight's Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights, number 1, cover B, first appearance of Robin King. This thing was selling, I think, in upwards of $300. It was insane. Number 2 is Amazing Spider-Man 375, the first appearance of Anne Weying, a.k.a. She-Venom, for reasons we will find out in a second why this is hot. And at number 1, we have Dark Knights Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights 1, cover A. This is the first appearance of the Robin King. Chris, if the market is not healthy, why are these top 10 issues all within the past few weeks going bonkers? I mean, that Dark Knight Legends, that was just insane. Anyways, I'm going to let you can answer that right now. But we have so much to talk about. I want you to get to your top 3, but that's right there that the market is pretty healthy.
Right. I think before we get into the top 3, I think the argument is why the market's healthy. I think different sorts of collectors will argue that, it's a speculator's market, or fans aren't buying books anymore. People don't read comic books anymore, or, the kids aren't into comic books anymore. There's so many, but I think that all of them are pretty null in a sense, or the stories are crap. Or here's the thing, though. I think this top 10 speaks to a multitude of things that are still happening that are healthy. I think that the Death Metal being at number 1, I know there's a first appearance there and everything, and there's speculative hype around it, but this has been a storyline that has been hot because people are reading the comics, and I'm going to get more into that book in a minute. But so I really think you can look at this top 10 and say, look, there's speculative value, there's independence, there's DC, there's Marvels, there's first appearance, there's books coming back from the 90s that are on it. People are still collecting comics for a multitude of reasons, and I just think we should probably clear the air with that and say, look, people are buying comics for whatever reasons they want. I'm going to get into 3 reasons, though, why I think these 3 specific books are hot and why people are buying them. Should we get going on it?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm seeing some comments in here that I'm finding interesting that I wouldn't mind addressing, but let's just get into it right now. What do we got?
Okay, yeah. Let's go through the 3 first. Yeah, I mean, and I will say, Jeff, this is a topic that we can maybe do a special show on sometime, just 100%. Talking about this stuff. But okay, I want to give a shout out to the independent, Dr. Seuss cover swipe. I love Dr. Seuss books. I used to wrap them to my kids. But I just think it's awesome to see a book like that on this top 10. That's kind of my runner-up. But my number 3 pick is Bounty Hunters number 1, second print. This is the first appearance of Nakano Lash, who is, we don't know the details yet, but, well, unless you read the story. This is some type of relation here with this character to Boba Fett. And I do feel there's been a lot of hype around this run specifically because of The Mandalorian and because we know that Boba Fett's going to show up in season 2. But now let me talk about why I think this book is hot, not just for speculative reasons. Look, this is the world we live in today. We watch TV shows, we watch movies, and then we want to buy the comics, not just for speculating to flip, but because we get attached to the characters. And what were we just talking about? X-Men, the animated series. Look, people our age, we were doing it 30 years ago. We were coming home after school, waking up, watching Saturday morning cartoons, and we were recording these TV shows on our VCS tapes and, rewatching them over and over again. And then we would go down to the comic book stores and we would buy the comic books. And like you guys, I showed here, I don't know if you want to bring this up real quick, but this book was the book that I bought off the shelves, X-Men Adventures #1, because I was already a fan of X-Men, but when that show hit, oh, it was all over, and I had to go grab. When this came out, I grabbed it. So again, going back to my #3 pick, same thing here, guys. People aren't just specking on books because they want to flip or they don't have their heart in comic book collecting. Like, I'm telling you, after I watched Mandalorian Season 1, I wanted to go read more about the Mandalorians. So that's why I think this book is really hot right now. I love that it's up here. We haven't had too much Star Wars stuff on the top 10 lately. I'm glad it's there because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I think this series is going to continue to be really hot. I do have Bounty Hunters #3 right here. I do have 1, 2, and 3. I just haven't read them yet. So moving on, though. #2 on my list is a classic, Amazing Spider-Man #375. I always loved this cover as a kid. I have 2 copies. My son has a copy. This is the first appearance of a character named Anne Weying, who was Eddie Brock's ex-wife. Now, this book is getting hot because of what's going on in the Venom run right now. Apparently, we do see her in Venom 27 appearing as a quote-unquote she-Venom. So this, people are going back to this book. It's the price has been increasing. We have a high sale at $145 in a CGC 9.8. So that's a decent value for this book that a year ago could find for a couple dollars in the back bins. Really cool gold light type of foil type cover, and classic Bagley art. Spider-Man. Anytime Spider-Man's on this list, love it. You have this issue, right, Jeff?
I do not have this issue, actually.
Okay.
Believe it or not, but you're right. You could have found this anywhere in like dollar bin books. Like now, it's going crazy because of all the ties that Donny Cates has. Like Donny Cates, his reach is so far, and he's blowing everybody's mind. So that's why I'm excited to see that this book is hot, definitely, because Mark Bagley is phenomenal.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Okay, so #1 on my list is the #1 on the top 10 list in sales this week. It beat every other book out, and that's Dark Knight's Death Metal Legends of the Dark Knights. #1, first appearance of Robin King. And going back to what I was just saying about this book, look, this storyline for when did the first metal book release? 2017, I believe. We're going on, I think, like 2.5 years here. And these books have just been hot. And it's not just because of first appearance and all this. People are reading these stories, and there are stories that are still reaching people at a level that's just blowing sales out of the water. But then you got a new announcement of Robin King, or a new character, Robin King. We know that people are after those first appearances right now. But again, that's nothing new. We were doing that back in the 80s and the 90s. So I am really, really impressed. I know that Mike Sears is probably happy to see a Batman-related book on #1 on the list. Get this, a high sale. That's a pre-sale, a pre-CGC 9.8 slab is sold for $130. So that's a bit crazy and intense. A lot of spec hype there. You could argue that that kind of buy could be somebody that's wanting to spec on this book to flip, but for whatever reason, the bottom line is so many different types of collectors are buying this book, and I love it. It's I want to see with whatever DC is going on. I know we're going to be losing some titles and whatnot, but I think overall what they've been doing with Batman and bringing the characters into this metal run in the metal world has been extremely successful. Regardless of what you think of anything else going on right now when it comes to new releases.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was The Batman Who Laughs is such a success. Knowing that the Robin King's first appearance is this issue, everybody's just like, I need to get on this character. And for those of you who have read it know how dark it is. Those of you who haven't, I suggest you read it. It's an easy jumping on point to just pick it up and read it. It kind of blew me away at just how dark and evil and twisted it is. So kudos to Scott Snyder and the DC team. I thought it was an excellent issue, and not surprised to see it at the #1 spot. But that there ends our top 10 hottest comics of the week.